Board of Trustees for Fort Wayne Community Schools. This meeting will be open to the public during Indiana's ongoing public health emergency as declared by Governor Holcomb. Masks must be worn at all times on Fort Wayne Community School grounds. Social distancing will be practiced at the meeting, therefore some members of the public who wish to attend may be excluded. If you plan to attend, please email Public Information Officer Krista Stockman. All others, please email our Clerk of the Board, Angela Filler. The public is encouraged to view the meeting at Cable Comcast 54 and Frontier 24, the live stream on our Facebook page, or the LTV 2454 Fort Wayne Community Schools YouTube channel. Priority for attendance in person will be given to the members of the media. We will begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Hello, Riley Booker, 4th District.
Jennifer Mathias, 2nd District.
Maria Norman, Member at Large.
Julie Hollingsworth, District 1.
Noah Smith, 3rd District.
And I am Ann Duff, Member at Large. And to my left is Angela Filler, our Clerk of the Board, and our Superintendent, Dr. Daniel. Good evening.
Good evening.
We have no awards in recognition. However, I would like to recognize our entertainment this evening. We had the Lane Orchestra or Strings Ensemble. I'm not sure what they call themselves, but they played some wonderful Christmas music for us. So thank you very much for that. And please stay tuned because we will learn more about our music programs this evening after our business meeting. So we will begin with our consent agenda, which is made up of our minutes, vouchers and payroll, and our personnel report. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda?
Recommend we approve.
Second.
Dr. Daniels, is there anything you'd like to mention about the personnel report?
Yes, I don't believe we've done this yet, but we do have one of our members of cabinet that has received her doctorate. So Dr. Faye Williams-Robbins, again, we want to congratulate you. Is she here?
Sorry, she's out there.
Oh, she had to take an emergency phone call. I'm sorry, but if she's here, we'd give her a standing ovation. Because I'll tell you, it's one very tough thing to navigate, especially with all the things that are going on as you're trying to do things in your regular job. So again, want to congratulate her for her doctorate completion. Public record, I've done it. Okay.
Well, thank you for recognizing her. Okay, is there I guess we vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and we move on to our first recommendation. Please forgive me as here we go. The ESSER HVAC improvements at the Anthes Career Center. It is recommended that the board approve the following construction contract for HVAC improvements at the Bill C. Anthes Career Center. From Current Mechanical, the base bid is $3,600,000. Alternate 1 is an exhaust fan replacement for $103,200. And alternate 5A for $182,500. The rest of the alternates we did not accept. And then with automated logic, the controls base bid is $585,995. This project consists of building air handler replacements and other ventilation improvements at the Career Center. Primary engineering designed the project. This project will be funded from the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, or ESSER, grant. The existing building automation systems are proprietary, and Automated Logic is the single source vendor for this work. All of our questions will be answered by the Director of Facilities, Darren Hess. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
I move approval.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Darren?
Just
I'm just curious, what do we anticipate to be the total that we will spend on HVAC improvements, and how many buildings does that will that touch?
Through the ESSER grants.
Yes.
In total, about 70 million, but that's facility improvements, but that's not 100% HVAC.
Okay.
I'm guessing in that 75% will be on HVAC ventilation, the other 25% will be window replacements, flooring replacements, needlepoint ionization, and like Arlington and Lincoln, making the open concept into individual classrooms. So 25% is non-ventilation.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I don't have a question but a comment, and as I was looking at our agenda, it reminded me of something that I had read in Sunday's New York Times, an editorial that is entitled, "We Can Live Better Lives While Being Smart About COVID." And I'm just going to read a part of it because it talks about what this improvement addresses. Nearly 2 years into the pandemic, it is clear that the coronavirus is not going to disappear anytime soon. Surges will happen, variants of concern will pop up, and mitigation strategies will need to evolve. The coronavirus is airborne, and any money spent on deep cleaning would be better put toward improved building ventilation. But instead of upgrading their HVAC systems, too many schools and businesses are still relying on things that won't work nearly as well. The plastic barriers that have become common in restaurants, nail salons, and offices, for example, can actually impede airflow and exacerbate viral spread in those offices. Even as we remain vigilant against the coronavirus, we need not remain in a state of paralyzing hypervigilance, returning to the sound basics of public health, continuing the progress of medical innovation, and ratcheting back the societal anxiety around the pandemic could make us all a lot healthier. So what we're doing here is the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. That was interesting.
Yeah, how many buildings or structures are not touched by automated logic at this point?
8.
So like when we're adding automated logic's work here, they don't currently have automated logic systems in place at Anthes? Is that?
No, it currently is automated logic, so we're building upon the existing infrastructure that's there.
Okay. And then overall, all our structures, we only have 8 that aren't using some sort of automated logic?
That's correct.
Okay. What are those buildings?
Invensys, which is a Havel, Invensys, which is Havel Brothers.
Is that another provider?
Yeah, it's a secondary provider. It's a different proprietary system. So whether Invensys, if we did something in Northside, for example, an improvement, we have to use them. They're proprietary for that system.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was just curious on that. So basically, it's everywhere. The system of some sort is in all our buildings. It's just automated logic is in the majority of our buildings, and this Invensys is in.
That is correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Darren. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we move on to Northrop High School East Site Improvements Project. It is recommended that the board approve the following construction contract for the 2022 Site Improvements Project at Northside High School. Northrop High School. Wayne Asphalt and Construction Company. The base bid for the Northrop East Site Improvements is $1,242,345. Alternate 2, drainage improvements at the northwest and southwest corners of the stadium, $24,500. And alternate 3, replace curb face walk at west side of parking lot, $75,665, for a total contract of $1,342,510. The project consists of the reconfiguration of parking lot entrances, islands, and the site lighting, as well as repair and replacement of concrete walks, fencing, and an asphalt overlay of the main parking lot at Northrop High School. The project was designed by Engineering Resources, Inc. Funding for the project will be from the 2016 School Building Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project. The work will commence at the end of the 2021-22 school year and is anticipated to be substantially completed by July 22, 2022. And again, Darren will be available to answer our questions. Is there a motion for approval?
So motion.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Darren about the Northrop project?
Yeah, in our notes, Darren had suggested that this was part of the ongoing project with the city.
Yeah, this is in coordination with the city. They're doing a lot of work just north and east of the site where they're reconfiguring Ludwig Road and Coldwater intersection and actually removing the Ludwig Coldwater intersection and rerouting it just south of our property line, and then we'll share an exit entrance to the south now instead of just having the one to the east, and it'll be at a signal, lighted signal.
So there'll be a new signal on Coldwater then?
Correct. Right where our exit path is right now, that kind of just goes at an angle, that's going to be removed because of safety concerns, and we'll exit into the new city street, and that'll be a new intersection with Coldwater Road with a lighted signal left and right, and then we'll also be able to go now south down to Ludwig and head west that way as well. So it'll be much more improved traffic flow for Northrop for before and after school, but also for events.
Thank you.
So the city work will be completed the same time, July 2022?
Yeah, they let their project just before ours, and they had their contractor on board, and the idea is that hopefully they'll
Work simultaneously?
work hand in hand so that by August we'll be ready to go. So
Awesome.
hope for good weather.
That'll be a nice improvement of that area.
Do we have the same contractor?
No, Primco has the city project, and we have Wayne.
Okay.
Any other questions for Darren?
Not a question, but a comment, because I drive by Northrop nearly every day, and I just want to say how much improved the exterior look of the building is since the renovation. The landscaping, looks awesome, and I love the fence around that new fencing that's going around the stadium and went around the tennis courts, and really just looks so much better. You guys did a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the Title II Part A grant. It is recommended that the board approve the application for an acceptance of funds from the Indiana Department of Education for the fiscal year 2021 Title II Part A supporting effective instruction in the amount of $1,448,788.12. The Title II Part A funding is provided to schools under the Every Student Succeeds Act. The allocation is based on enrollments for both public and non-public schools in the Fort Wayne Community School attendance area. An amount of $317,513.50 has been allocated to serve identified non-public schools for Title II Part A. The Title II is an entitlement grant provided to supplement the general fund. Monies from Title II Part A will be used to facilitate and implement professional learning. The grant is used for administrators, certified and classified staff of all grade levels. This non-competitive grant is managed by Ramona Coleman, Assistant Superintendent of Professional Learning, and she will be available to answer any questions. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
I move for approval.
Second.
Thank you. And do we have questions for Ramona?
Is there any specific PL you're hoping to accomplish with this, Ramona?
Yes, so our PL starting this year, and this is a 2-year grant that we'll be using. So last time at the board meeting, we talked about Human Capital Management University. So this grant will allow us to use part of those monies for stipends for teachers that will be facilitating sessions doing Human Capital Management University. Also, a portion of this grant supports our salaries out of the professional learning department to make sure that they can support teachers and administrators at the building and district level.
And of the $1,448,317 will go to private schools?
Yes, because it's the equitable share. So basically, right off the top, we look at the total amount that's allocated to Fort Wayne Community Schools, and with that, you look at the total population for our district, plus the population for non-pubs, and then that's how we figure out the equitable share that non-pubs receive. For those schools that choose to attend, choose to participate, and we have 4 additional non-pubs that chose to participate this year that did not participate in the previous year.
So we have 4 more from last year?
4 more,
Not 4 in total?
yes.
And the enrollment's based on number of students or based on number of staff?
It's a total number of students.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Ramona.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and,
By the way, Madam President, the doctor is in the house, if you want to
oh, that's
acknowledge
right, yes,
it.
absolutely. You missed your congrats, I guess, from Dr. Daniel, so congratulations. Moving on, it is recommended that the board approve the application for an acceptance of funds from the Indiana Department of Education, Title IV, Part A, Student Support and Academic Enrichment in the amount of $1,007,353.88. Title IV, Part A funding is provided to schools under the Every Student Succeeds Act. The allocation is based on enrollments for both public and non-public schools in Fort Wayne Community School attendance area. An amount of $220,769.66 has been allocated to serve identified non-public schools for the Title IV Part A. Title IV Part A is intended to improve students' academic achievement by increasing capacity of the local education agency, LEA, and non-public schools' ability to provide all students with access to a well-rounded education. This non-competitive grant is also managed by Ramona Coleman, and she will answer any questions you may have. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
I move approval.
Second.
Thank you. And any questions for Ramona?
Can you give me an example of what we use some of these funds for? I see they're it's for our students, but can I have an example?
Yeah, so Title IV is our well-rounded educational grant. So it's 3 components that we look at as a district. So again, it's the academic side that we're looking at in support of the implementation of our standards. And then we have our well-being, the social emotional learning. So we look at what support we can provide for that grant for our classified and certified staff. And then lastly, it looks at the STEAM and STEM component of leveraging digital, or the language that they changed it to this year with our Title IV grant was really enable our students to become digital citizens and really knowing how to connect with others throughout the world.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. Thank you, Ramona.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that ends the business portion of our meeting. And now we will have our pre-K through 12th grade enhanced music programs, including Bmsml Report, and Dr. Williams Robbins, Deputy Superintendent, Shanita Bolton, Director of Pre-K through 12 College and Career Readiness, and Bruce Schneider, Instrumental Coordinator, will present an overview of Pre-K through 12 enhanced music, including Little Kids Rock, Club O, Heartland Sings, Art Integration, and the Bmsml Program. Thank you.
Good evening, President Duff, Dr. Daniel, and the viewing audience, and those other board members, as well as those folks that are in the room. I am real pleased to be here tonight for this presentation. This has been a program that was an idea. We gathered people together and it has become something that we are seeing progress all across the board with these students when it comes to academic achievement, as well as what they plan to do in the future. And so it has pushed some energy into the students, motivation, as well as our teachers, and has grown out of the Bmsml program. We've also seen things happening in vocal music, as well as in other grades beyond the middle school. So I'm going to turn things over to Bruce Snyder, who we searched high and low to find him as an employee. And he has done a tremendous job, especially around the data and tracking. And so he's here today with his immediate supervisor, Shanita Bolton.
I'll be very brief, but at a previous board meeting, I shared of K-12 college and career readiness and the umbrella and those tenets underneath that, one of those being Bmsml. And you will hear from Bruce the ways in which students are being prepared for post-secondary success through the arts, through music, and the way it's improving GPAs, SAT scores, as well as some other things. So at this time, I do want to introduce Bruce, and I know that you will be receiving a lot of helpful information.
Good evening, President Duff, members of the school board, Dr. Daniel, members of the audience. First off, I'd like to also thank Colleen Phillips and Elaine Advanced Strings for their performance tonight. And just a point, of her 24 advanced string students, 18 have Bmsml instruments. So that says a large statement about the program. Before our video presentation, I'd like to discuss 3 partnerships that we have that enhance music education at FWCS. The first one is Little Kids Rock. Little Kids Rock is a national nonprofit out of New York, and they produce and promote modern band, which is modern genres of music. So rock, pop, hip hop, country western, rap. For those students that may not want to be in the standard choir, band, or orchestra classes, so it gives them opportunities. And what Little Kids Rock provides is instruments, so they provided over 614 instruments to the district so far for free. Teacher training and curriculum, so all those students and teachers and that have access to modern songs and that, and the curriculum how to play those songs. So right now we have those in 18 elementary schools, 7 middle schools, and Southside High School. So all those schools are putting Little Kids Rock in part of their educational curriculum. The second program is Club Orchestra, which is a partnership with our own Fort Wayne Philharmonic. And that is an after-school string program at Forest Park, South Wayne, and Waynedale Elementary. The kids go after school 3 days a week, and they actually learn music, they get tutoring, and they also get a snack after school. So it encompasses all sorts of educational benefits for those students. And we've seen, especially at Lakeside, the string numbers going into Lakeside from Forest Park has just exploded in the last year. Then lastly is Heartland Sings, and we've partnered with them to bring opera to first grade classes at Adams and Washington Elementary. And what they do is they work with the language arts classes, and they write and create and sing and perform their own opera. So it's probably the cutest thing you would ever see. So with COVID and that, we sort of stepped back, and hopefully we can get that going again yet this year. If not, next year. Plans are in for that. I'd also like to give some information on the Bmsml program before our video presentation. First off, I'd like to introduce Mitch Shepard, who is the new Executive Director of the Fort Wayne Community Schools Foundation, and she'll be working on the Bmsml program and other future endeavors with the school district. Fort Wayne Community Schools Foundation has raised over $2 million for the Bmsml program, and so far it's purchased 682 instruments. We do free concert band, jazz band, strings, and a music instrument explorer camp every summer for 1 week for our students. And the instrument explorer camp is for students who have never played an instrument before. So they'll come in on Monday, they'll pick out an instrument, they'll learn it the rest of the week, learn the first 2, 3, 4 notes, then on Friday they perform a concert for their parents. And it's pretty remarkable to see how they do that in 1 week's time with students that have never played before. We also have small group instructors, which I partnered with Purdue Fort Wayne for their music education students. They actually come in and they work with our instrumental music students. So if I'll have a trumpet specialist come in and work with trumpet players, or a clarinet specialist come in and work with clarinet players. It gives those music education students experience, gets them working with our teachers. It also helps them decide if they want to work for FWCS down in the future. Then Bmsml started in spring of 2016 with 32 students at Lakeside, Shawnee, and Miami. We're now at 469 students. Last spring we was at 519, and due to COVID, we've dropped a little bit, but we're working hard to build that back up. And future endeavors include continued growth of the program. We're looking at possibly offering scholarships for students who decide they want to actually go into music education or music performance or music industry, to help them offset some cost of buying a professional or semi-professional instrument when they actually head into college. And also possibly look at all district ensembles where kids from all across the district will come together and perform together and practice together. So just some metrics to show you. National studies show that instrumental music and music in general has a tendency to make kids better in school. And Bmsml actually shows that. So our GPA, on average, Bmsml students score 0.54 points higher in GPA. The iLearn English test is 9.08% higher. iLearn Math is 9.17% higher. SAT scores is 72.3 points higher. Chronically absent rate, on average, is 7.4% less than the standard population. Discipline is 11.2% lower in fractions. Our summer camp last year was 121 students. And graduation, last year was our first graduating class, and all 18 graduated from FWCS. So I'd like to highlight the video now and let the teachers and the students do the talking and tell you about the Bmsml program and music education at FWCS. My name is Bruce Schneider. I am the Bmsml coordinator. I also work with all the district's music and teachers and students.
My name is Kenny Woods. I am the band director at Wayne High School.
Hi, my name is Colleen Phillips. I am the band and orchestra director at Lane Middle School.
My name is Ryan Thompson. I'm one of the instrumental music directors at Memorial Park Middle School.
My name is Jeff Amstutz, and I am a band director here at Lakeside Middle School.
My name is Teresa Stahosky, and I've been teaching for Fort Wayne Community Schools for 8 years now. I've been at Lakeside Middle School for 6 of those.
Every school district teaches the basics: English, math, social studies, and science. It's the quality of the specialty programs that really draw and attract students and actually retain those students. Athletics and performing arts are the most visible of those activities and programs. Here at FWCS, we strive to continue to build a strong, diverse performing arts course and co-curricular offerings that allow the students to be drawn to these programs and be more engaged in their education.
I don't know that there's a way to ever overstate the positive outcomes that our students experience as part of our music programs at Fort Wayne Community Schools. We have some of the finest programs with the densest offerings of any district I've ever worked with across the Midwest. Our students are afforded opportunities that you just don't see other places, and the results of which are numerous.
I've seen kids who already come in at a high level academically and musically. They grow to become leaders in the band and in the school, and kids recognize who they are through their talents. I've seen kids come in who couldn't read their names off a piece of paper, but then they learn how to read music and they learn how to express themselves through playing an instrument, and they just grow into beautiful human beings.
A lot of students feel better about themselves, more positive, and want to come to school because they enjoy their music classes.
In some areas around the country, music and all of education kind of has an elitist feel, even in the public schools.
Working in FWCS has tremendously changed the way that I approach education in general, the way I approach teaching music, and the way I approach building relationships with my students. Working in this district is very different from where I grew up and very different from other places I've taught. And it has opened my eyes to what students need, particularly of varied backgrounds and varied levels of opportunity.
The way it's changed my thinking of teaching is when I first got out of college, I was all about having the best groups and having the best performance, and you got to have the marching band that's going to state every year, gold one and all that stuff. As I've taught, I realized that it's more important to get as many students, to influence more students into being a part of a music program and getting to experience that, and then making sure they all have a good shot at being successful at it than just worrying about the accolades.
The biggest thing I've noticed is kids who have been floundering before they reach the music program, and in the music program they find a place to belong, a place that feels like home for them.
I really feel that music education is integral to every student's upbringing and educational journey. Not just because it's the subject I teach, but because music maps your brain in such an amazing way.
Well, physiologically, of course, music we know affects their brains. It creates more synapses, connections between one side of the brain and the other, allows them to think faster on their feet. It allows them to bring together multiple subject areas into one area. Of a necessity in education, we teach everything compartmentalized. We teach math in this room, and social studies in this room, and music in this room. But music itself actually brings together all those subjects. When we're teaching music, they have to draw on historical perspective. They have to use their language arts to interpret text, to sing words in music, to write music and write songs. And that's the way we are in life.
We've been doing social and emotional learning since the inception of music education. You learn so much by being in a music ensemble, by working with students who are not your best friends, your daily friends, and they're also not the people that you're randomly put into a small group. You are working on concepts, you're creating things, you're collaborating daily. And one of the greatest things with music is that you're inputting the knowledge and immediately turning around and using that knowledge.
The Bmsml program has enhanced the students for a couple of things. One, it's provided an instrument that is brand new, that gives them a sense of pride for the student.
I think it's been a hugely positive influence. I went through FWCS. I went to Nebraska Elementary School, Portage Middle School. I graduated from Elmhurst in 2007, and we didn't have anything like this while I was in high school. So I remember, in order for me to get my own instrument, I live with a single mom, and I know we had to go through some hardships in order for me to get my instrument. But with the Bmsml program, any kid who's in the same situation that I was in, now they have the opportunity to get a brand new instrument for themselves. No one else has played it. It's theirs for as long as they stay with the program. And that's a giant, it's not something that can be quantified, but it is a really big net positive.
I think the biggest thing is, for me here in this program, is that there would not be the ready supply of quality string instruments at Lakeside Middle School if it weren't for the Bmsml program.
And I know, because I grew up on this side of the town as well, that getting an instrument is almost impossible. Instruments cost anywhere from $500 to $2,000. And that's just too big of a hardship to put on people, especially like single parent households or just whatever. We get kids from all different kinds of backgrounds and lifestyles and things like that. So it gives them the opportunity that they otherwise wouldn't have had.
Again, when we talk about FWCS's goal, of inclusion and equity and access to music for all students. It's hard to find a better example of that than the Bmsml program.
Our first year being involved in the Bmsml program was 6 years ago. We were on the second wave. And I still remember telling this little 7th grade girl that she was going to be able to have a violin all year and through the summer, because she cried when she had to return her instrument as a 6th grader. Being able to take basses to some of our neighborhoods where that's not a reality. It's theirs until their senior year, as long as they continue in music education.
There's no limit for these kids as to how many instruments they can obtain if they are putting in that work and if they're involved in all of those organizations. And it's been incredible to have that barrier removed for kids, which is part of our job as educators, is to remove barriers for students, to allow for greater equity in all aspects of their educational experience. And the Bmsml program has been fantastic in helping us do that.
When I hear stories about how music isn't supported in other schools, or teachers have to fight tooth and nail to get like basic things that they need for the classroom, and then I look around at how lucky I've been here at Wayne, and I'm just very grateful for everything FWCS has done for this school in particular.
It's great to see those kids go from hard workers to kids who really believe in themselves.
My name is Rudy Reese, and I am a junior from Wayne High School. My mom always has this memory she likes to talk about how she would turn on music and she would put me on her lap, and she would hold me by her arms. And as the music would go on, I would jump around and hop around and move my head onto the beat. And it's very interesting because none of my family are musicians. Music is so more than just sounds and chords, but it's a way for musicians and for people to be able to keep on going day by day, to be able to influence, to be able to contribute to humanity and to what we call life. And it's so beautiful to be able to manifest that and to be able to keep on going.
If you want your kids engaged in school, if you want them to be academically successful, they should consider studying a music instrument or being part of a performing arts class. These kids excel at everything they do and are really set up for a great future life.
You know, I can't count the number of times that a student or a parent has written to us, called us, dropped off a trinket just to say thank you for being a part of our child's life here in music.
The impacts just keep coming. The students who are playing these instruments, we're about to see our first senior year of Bmsml students. I can't wait till we have our first Bmsml music education majors, performance majors, music industry majors.
Be in music. It's fun. You're gonna make a lot of friends. You're going to experience a lot of things you wouldn't otherwise. And if you just find the courage to put yourself out there, you're gonna have a great time.
We know that our goal here at FWCS, and indeed at school districts across the country, is to make sure that our kids show up. That's one of the things we're trying to teach them, is show up. And the support of FWCS, our administration, our board, our community, our parents, they're the ones who make it possible. It allows us to open those doors, literally and figuratively, to those kids who might not otherwise show up.
I'm blessed to work with some really great teachers and some really passionate teachers. So, and they're all that way. If you go to any school and talk to them, they're all that way. So I'm just really blessed to work with those teachers. So that's our presentation. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions for you.
Thank you. That video was just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it answered all my questions. It explained it so in depth the program that the student on there was just amazing. I mean, it put a smile on my face, but I also got a little teared up.
Yeah.
It was just incredible. So thank you for that. That was wonderful.
And if you go to the foundation webpage, that's Rudy on the webpage. So you can see him as a 7th grader and see him as 11th grader. So it's really remarkable to see the growth in that one particular student over the years.
Yeah, it was great.
And people can still write checks to support the program?
Most definitely.
Or donate online. Can we find that
online
on our website?
Yes. We'd like to see us keep growing and keep going as long as possible.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always believed in the program. I've supported the program. I can remember, several years ago, even before I was on the board, when there were a lot of cuts in public education funding, and a lot of schools were cutting their music programs to make ends meet. But I was always so proud of Fort Wayne Community Schools because we always kept our music programs and our other arts programs because we know the value of that and what it does to our students. So, it's a wonderful program. I mean, anybody who's played an instrument and been in music, it's a rush when you can sit there with that orchestra or that band and just hear those different sounds you're producing. It's amazing. It's a great opportunity for our kids.
It is.
So many aspects of their lives.
Are there other ways financially that people in the community can help support Bmsml?
We can always take instrument donations. They may not go directly into the Bmsml pool itself because we try to keep those as new and relatively new functioning instruments, but all our schools could always use instruments. So if people want to donate instruments to the district, we're happy to take them and refurbish them and put them into a building where they can be used.
Bruce, what about, so the program is now, about 5 years old? So
Correct, going on 6, yes.
What do you think, what do you look forward to the next 5 years?
I'd like to see, we're at basically a little over 20% of our instrumental music students are in the Bmsml program, so I would like to see 30% or 40%. I'd like to spend the money.
Any other questions for Bruce? Well, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
Thank you for your
detailed
leadership
presentation.
and all the work that you've done.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we are ready for board comments.
Yes, I wanted to note the passing of former Deputy Superintendent Jim Robbins. He retired in 1994, and I learned that his encore career was in financial management. Jim was a great guy, and I always appreciated his leadership. And speaking of encore careers, I see where Karen Francisco, the editorial writer and leader of their page, is leaving, and she tells me that her encore career is going to take place in Colorado. She and Brian are moving to be close to their son, and she said she is not giving up the fight to support public education. So I'm sure we'll see or hear from her or read from her in the near future. And finally, I'm sending all of the board members, all of you and the superintendent and our 5 high school principals an article that caught my attention about the shootings at Oxford High School in Michigan, and there, at least from initial reports, were a number of questions about the decisions made or not made by school officials, and it's almost like a case study as to what happened there. And it's worth your reading, and I hope the principals too. And hopefully we're making the right decisions about student discipline and other issues in our high schools. Merry Christmas, folks.
Thank you.
I'd like to remind parents that school choice lottery applications are open and they're due by January 10th by midnight. for the February 4th lottery selection. Last week, I was able to tour one of our magnet schools, Weiser Park, and really got a great tour from the principal there and learned a lot about the Arts Magnet program and the STEM curriculum that they have there. So I would really encourage parents who are interested in learning more about our schools, whether you're in the district now or considering, you can go to Fort Wayne Community Schools YouTube page, and there are school showcase videos, so you can learn more about the different offerings we have at different schools.
I was fortunate to be on that same tour as Raleigh and Noah and learned a lot about Weiser Park. And like, I just want to reiterate what Raleigh said is, even if you've been in Fort Wayne for a long time and you've been a parent in Fort Wayne Community Schools, there is a plethora of opportunities at all of our schools. And I really do encourage you to look, because honestly, if I had to go backwards, I'm well past that right now, but Weiser Park is a phenomenal school for children, and I know that Maria's son attends. And I'm an arts person, so that creativeness that was going on in that school is pretty amazing. These videos that we're making here, you know, it could have took hours on end to do, but we saw children creating videos, and we saw a production of a video that she said they cranked out in a class. And that's just what's upcoming in our future. And I think Jen Fisher might be able to recruit a few of those out of that classroom that we saw. So take advantage, please take advantage, parents, of opportunities that you may not have thought about, but do go visit the YouTube page. And if you have a chance, and I don't know if we're done with our tours or not, but those Tuesday tours are a great way to see our schools. On another note, I just want to, I really want to thank everybody that's sitting in this room tonight, and our teachers, our staff. We say that every time, but at this time of the year, we've made it to this, almost made it to the second half. And I know we're counting down the days. I know that the kids are counting down the days. The teachers, everybody is just really happy to have got to this point this year. So I commend everybody for every last effort that they've put in. Lots of things are unseen behind the scenes to keep our kids in school, and that's what we're here for, is to keep our children in school and learning and being able to be a part of these fabulous programs that we have here. So thank you very much. And happy holidays.
Well, I just want to echo what Jennifer said. I hope that all of our staff get a chance to rest and renew their spirit. The students do know. My son says every morning, how many more wake-ups do I have to do? So he's getting very excited that it's, you know, only 4 now. So, but again, I hope everyone has a nice break and they get a chance to laugh and relax and just regenerate their spirit and refill their cups. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've been following some of the schools on Facebook, and I think every school, probably Grile also, has a holiday project, a Christmas project. Some are collecting food for food banks. Some are just collecting money that they've donated to various organizations. And that spirit of community and that spirit of giving has been very impressive to see in every school. And like everyone else, I hope that all of our staff and our families have a wonderful, refreshing, rejuvenating holiday. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
I'll reiterate what Steve, Raleigh, Jennifer, Maria, Julie said, with a couple of additions. Like Steve, I want to thank Karen Francisco for her service at the Journal-Gazette. I met Karen a few years ago and found her a very understanding, open person, vastly knowledgeable on what's going on, great supporter of public education, and wish her nothing but the best in Bryan, but she will be missed. As Raleigh and Jennifer mentioned, we got to go on a tour and see Maria's son star in gym class, but got to see Weiser Park in depth and just was blown away at the programs they have there. Like Jennifer said, I'm past doing it over, but it gave me pause to think, why didn't I send my kids here? The logistics was a challenge, but we probably could overcome that. But just amazing programs. Thank you to Melissa Plum, the principal there, and the teachers and students that took time to meet with us. Just really neat offerings. Second and final, I'd like to say happy birthday to my two most favorite Fort Wayne Community School graduates. My twins turn 19 today. And then, as everybody else has said, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and have a wonderful break.
Thanks. Dr. Daniel?
So we had the opportunity, Ann and I, to tour the AMP lab at Electric Works. And we'd like to say that if you would like to go as well, we'd like to open up that invitation to you. I think it's amazing what's happening in that space. And I sort of see that as here's our upper ring, if you will, of creativity, innovation. Then you look at new tech, and now you look at 3DE, which will impact all students eventually. And our visit to Tampa was also amazing, listening to both students and teachers in this high school, Chamberlain High School, which is one of the poorest performing high schools in Tampa, and yet this cohort is far and above what's happening with the other students. It's a school within a school concept, which is where Snyder will be next year, and of course Northside will be entire all freshmen. But again, the key is small groups. So you end up having cohorts, no matter whether it's a school within a school or it's the whole ninth grade, but they'll be broken in cohorts as well. Any kind of all the metrics that we've been talking about that we're wanting to see that needle move, they're moving those needles. So very, very, it was eye-opening, but it was also reaffirming as far as what we're doing. And this past Saturday, I was able to speak to a group and their excitement as community leaders, and I think it's definitely heading the direction we want it to head. So I think our challenge for the new year will be, how do we as a collective board and superintendent, as well as GRILE administration and building level administration, as well as teachers, how do we become more of an outreach in our communities, working with one neighborhood at a time. That was Harris Rosen's quote, and he said, don't try to do it all, do one neighborhood at a time, and you'll start to see some phenomenal results. So that was on the pre-K side, but it all flows to the what are students, how successful are students on the after graduation side of things. So that's our challenge for the new year. I always like to have some type of challenge to throw out there. So again, I will also say happy holidays and have a wonderful new year, as a video will come out Thursday that and it speaks almost everything you folks said. So anyway, but we're going to send that to all parents as well as all faculty and staff. So they'll see that. We do start teachers return on January the 3rd. Students return January 4th. So we are having that day on January 3rd for teachers to get ready for the second semester. I'll say this, what I've heard is, can you believe first semester we are where we are today? It went so very, very fast. So again, thank you for all your support, and that's all I have for this evening.
And our AMP lab, we'll have an AMP lab presentation in the January 10th meeting.
Yes.
So that will be great for us to learn about, and as well as our audience to see what's going to be happening at AMP lab. I have a visitor in our audience who is almost a lifetime friend of mine, Allison, who is also she's waving. She's also a Northside graduate and a West Point graduate. And we did take a tour of Northside today. Mr. West let me give her a little tour. She has not been there for probably since graduation, so that was lots of changes there. So she got to see what was the pool and what was the old gym, or was the gym, I should say. So that was very interesting. I'm appreciative that he let me take her around and show her what's happening at Northside. And we ran into a young man I didn't realize was a student because he had his Sodexo uniform on. And he was just a great kid. Immediately started talking to us and told him about himself. And so I started asking him questions because I realized he was a student. And so, he said he usually works from 10 to 2, and he was going over to another school to fill in for somebody, and he takes a class in the morning and a couple in the evening. And that was surprising to me because I'm getting old and forgetting how we do things. But well, in the evening, how do you do that? He goes, well, they're online. I can go to the Little Turtle Library, or I can get a computer and do my online classes. So he was just a great kid. I was very excited that Allison got to see, so great things still continue to happen at Northside. But while she's been here, we've had lots of discussions, some fun, some very serious. And one thing that we talked about, as Steve kind of mentioned in his comments, was the shooting that took place in at a Michigan school. And I asked Allison, I go, what can we do as a country to get this situation under control? How do we prevent these school shootings from happening? Because when the school shooting happened, my feeling was helplessness. I felt just completely helpless because what can I do? I mean, we can't expect our legislators to move on this swiftly enough, or maybe not appropriately enough. So what Allison said, we can't do anything. If you can't do anything on a national level, you can't do anything on a state level. She said, what can you do locally? What can your school district do? And so that made me start thinking, because nobody wants to be that parent who receives that phone call or from that text from that student, their child, saying, there's a shooter outside my classroom. And just that image in your head, which I can't, I'm still, that image is in my head still, just from since November 30th. That would just be my worst nightmare. So I started telling her about, well, these are things that we do here, but perhaps we can do better. We have a bully prevention program, but are we using this program adequately, and are we using it to its full potential? Is it enough to prevent these things from happening? Are we hitting our target audience, or who exactly is our target audience for this program? What are the goals for this program? How do we measure its success? Are we measuring its success? That's just something we need to think about. Another program we have in place is our student assistant program, and that was something that we had approved last meeting to renew that program. And I remember that my question was, for the high schools, do the students get to see those counselors in their schools? And the answer was that those students would see a counselor after school on their own time. Is that the appropriate place for our kids to see those counselors? Is it easier access if those counselors come to us in our buildings? We already know we aren't getting the bang for our buck. So would moving the counselors into those buildings be more helpful? Do all of our teachers know of this resource, and do they refer students to these mental health therapists? Do our guidance counselors refer our students? Do our students even know these services exist? That's just questions in my mind as I thought about what we can do as a district, what we can do in our own school system. So we need to step it up. We need to take a good look at what we're doing and ask if we are doing the right things, and if we can improve upon these things that we're doing. Do we need additional services? Do we need additional programs? We need to take a hold of our future instead of just letting it happen. So nobody wants to be that parent who receives that call or that text from a frightened child. So That's something we need to think about, something we can control within our district or improve and change upon. And I hate to end on such negativity, but I do wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Like everybody said, take time to rest, to spend time with your friends and family, and enjoy this wonderful 2 weeks off. Okay. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. And we have one speaker.